What's going on, y'all? This is John Alsace with Facemask Fantasy. We got new up-to-date fantasy content coming your way every day on this channel, so if you have not subscribed already, then please hit that button. But before we get into our main topic for today, my co-host Nick Payne put in a ton of work to give you guys a free 2021 Redraft draft kit available on our website, which can be found at facemaskpod.com. It's a great piece of content, something that other analysts might be charging you for, but we're giving it to you for free. So without further ado, let's get into some fantasy talk. And today I want to talk about Marquez Callaway, who might be the Saints' new wide receiver one. Now, he was signed out of Tennessee after the 2020 draft as an undrafted free agent rookie, and he was a former star basketball player at the high school level. He's 6'1", 205 pounds, and in college, he increased his receiving yards in all 4 years with the Tennessee Volunteers. He averaged a respectable 9.9 yards per target over his last 3 seasons. Prior to the NFL draft, he posted a 38.5-inch vertical, and he also has a 40 time of 4.55. So he does show slightly limited athleticism for an NFL prospect, but despite that, he took huge strides as a rookie. He showed out on special teams before catching his lone target in week 4, catching 4 of 6 targets in week 5, and finally catching 8 of 10 targets for 75 yards in the Saints' week 7 game following their week 6 bye. Now, this is a game when both Michael Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders were sidelined, but it did show that Callaway can perform as the number 1 wide receiver in this offense when need be. In that week 7 game, when he was their number 1 target, he led the Saints in catches, yards, and targets before getting his left ankle rolled up late in the game. He was having trouble putting weight on it, and he ended up needing to be helped off the field to the locker room. He did return in week 9, but he was sidelined on IR from week 11 until week 16, where he resumed his depth role with the Saints wide receiver group as their tertiary option. But this offseason, he was expected to compete with only Tre'Quan Smith for the wide receiver 2 spot opposite Michael Thomas. But Thomas, as many of you know, had ankle surgery, and that will put him out for most likely half the season. And even when he comes back, it's fair to wonder if he'll be playing at 100% when he sees the field. So in light of this surgery news, Marquez Callaway is really only competing with Tre'Quan Smith, Adam Troutman, and Alvin Kamara for targets ahead of Chris Hogan and Deontay Harris, and he has shown high-end wide receiver 2 upside when operating as this team's number 1, as witnessed in week 7 last season. By all accounts, this offseason he's taken ownership of being the top dog at receiver for the Saints. Now, throughout training camp, both Michael Thomas and Tre'Quan Smith have been sidelined, Tre'Quan Smith with a leg injury, and this has left Marquez Callaway as the team's default number 1 wideout throughout all of training camp. If he's the wide receiver 1 for this team, he could see a huge target share. He's a dark horse to finish as a wide receiver 2 by year's end, especially if he locks down the role and does end up relegating Tre'Quan Smith to being the secondary option on this wide receiver depth chart while Michael Thomas is out. And if he does, even when Michael Thomas comes back, he'll still be on the field, but he'll be playing opposite the opposing team's cornerback 2 instead of the cornerback 1, because Michael Thomas will be taking that role again. So even when Michael Thomas comes back, he could absolutely continue to have value. And we haven't even gotten to the quarterbacks yet. Because if Jameis is the starter for this team, and I believe he will be despite rumblings that with the Michael Thomas injury, it makes Taysom Hill more likely to start, I am just still of the belief that the best quarterback starts. And Jameis Winston is the clear best quarterback in this quarterback room. He has the most starts at the position. He finished as the QB3 in fantasy, so he can clearly put up the yards and the points. As for the interception numbers, he hasn't nearly been as errant when he's seen action since coming to the Saints. And I'm optimistic that Sean Payton can help Winston reclaim quarterback 1 status if he's given the opportunity. Because let us not forget, he's got a photographic memory, and he did undergo vision surgery to fix double vision in his eyes before signing with the Saints last offseason. So it's fair to say that we haven't seen the best of Jameis yet. Now, when at the peak of his powers, Jameis sustained multiple fantasy-relevant receiving options throughout his career. In 2017, Mike Evans was the wide receiver 18, Deshaun Jackson was the wide receiver 33, Cameron Brate was the tight end 9, and OJ Howard was the tight end 17. In 2018, Mike Evans was the wide receiver 10, Chris Godwin was the wide receiver 34, OJ Howard was the tight end 11, and Cameron Brate was the tight end 19. And in 2019, Mike Evans was the wide receiver 8, Chris Godwin was the wide receiver 2, so he sustained 2 wide receiver 1s in 2019 when we last saw him in game action for a full season, and Cameron Brate and OJ Howard were the tight end 27 and 28 respectively, so they took a step back. But it's clear when Jameis Winston focuses in on 2 targets, they can finish top 10 at their position easy. Now I expect Callaway's floor to be at or above the wide receiver 34 mark that Chris Godwin got back in 2018, a season in which he had 842 yards and 7 touchdowns. Callaway could easily blow those yardage numbers out of the water if Winston is on fire and Callaway takes the leap that everyone in the fantasy community is expecting from him this year. Seeing as Michael Thomas is closing in on being 30, and we've seen what ankle injuries can do to large alpha wide receivers, we've seen it with AJ Green, and we've seen it a little bit with Julio, where some of these bigger wide receivers who sustain lower body injuries, specifically of the structural variety, it ends up hindering them going forward for the rest of their career. So with that said, Callaway could end up being the top target in this offense all season. Now I don't know about y'all, but I like young promising wide receivers with wide receiver 2 upside, and I especially love them when they come with a low cost. Right now, he's a great buy in every format. He has an underdog ADP of 156, so he can be had after the 12th round in best balls. That's great value. In season long, I love him. ECR right now, that's expert consensus rating of 304. So he's pretty much free in season long redraft leagues right now. In Dynasty, he's in a great position to be the Saints wide receiver of the future, or at the very least, be their wide receiver 2 of the future. And his Dynasty rankings based off of Fantasy Pros aggregate ranking chart is 363. So even in Dynasty leagues, where his value should theoretically be highest, he's free. So I'm trying to get him everywhere I can. Like I said, I like him in every format based off of his ADP in every format right now. And I'm of the belief that he carries wide receiver 2 upside into the 2021 season. What do you guys think? Do you guys think I'm on point with where I have Callaway's projection going forward? Or do you think I'm absolutely crazy for thinking that this guy can come in and be a wide receiver 2? Put your thoughts in the comments section below. My name is John Alsace. This is Facemask Fantasy. Once again, we're bringing you new up-to-date fantasy content every day on this channel, so if you have not hit that subscribe button yet, please do. Thanks again for listening, and have a great day.